Well, there's various reasons. And one of them is that we were prosperous enough to be able to afford a piano. And secondly, we had the transportation. We had the railroads and the roads in general, so pianos could be shipped around New England. And every town hall generally had one. And a lot of homes had them too. Now, another thing about the piano, if you imagine a piano keyboard, it's just as easy to push any key you want as any other key. You can't say, well, this key over here is harder than this one. Now, I'll ask Becky to demonstrate here. When you play a D chord for them, and you can see when she holds it up like that, that her hand is in there, and just the fingers are pushing down. But the relative minor to a D, if you're knowledgeable of music, is a B minor. And to play a B minor, she's got to stretch her fingers all over the place. There we are, a B minor. And an awful lot of guitar players can't do that. Many of the chords that are found in the old tunes as they came from the British Isles are hard to play on a guitar, but they're easy to play on a piano. So we kept them here in New England. We kept those patterns. And other parts of the country, they changed the tunes to fit the chords that were easy to play on a guitar. It was because of our geography, with our lots of streams to provide water power, so on, that made the prosperity, and then the roadways and so on, that made it possible for people to have pianos, which was an important thing. Now, another difference here in New England is, in the course of my life, I knew fairly well 5 fiddlers who were born in the 19th century. And 4 out of those 5 could read music. Reading music has been a common thing. And here I would refer you, as you're all interested in history, to a perfectly marvelous book that you may be familiar with called Albion's Seeds. Albion, the old name for England, the Seeds of England. That's by David Hackett Fisher, who's a very highly readable historian. I've read everything of his I could find. And the theory of the book is that the different cultures of the eastern seaboard can be best understood by understanding the cultures of the parts of England that the early settlers came from. Now, you go to Plymouth Plantation, and in Massachusetts there, and you see a recreation of the way people lived in 1620. Now, the day I went there, I went there in the morning, and in the afternoon I visited the childhood home of a friend, which was the second oldest house in New England. It was built in 1636, not too far from Plymouth Plantation. And it's still being lived in. It was a nice 2-story salt box house that, people would want to live in, unlike the places at Plymouth Plantation that are interesting to see, but I wouldn't care to spend the winter in. Now, how come they were able to go in 16 years from building little huts to building nice houses? Well, in 1629, King Charles sent Parliament home and began a wave of migration to New England from the East Anglia area of England. And the people came in huge numbers for those years. 20,000 people came to New England between 1629 and 1640. And for the population density of the time, that was a massive migration, the likes of which would not be equaled until the Irish came in the 19th century. And these people were not like the people who went to Virginia, where you had the aristocrats and their indentured servants and slaves and so on. These were largely middle-class people, fairly skilled craftsmen and tradesmen, people who would know how to build a house, unlike the sort of feckless idealists of the Mayflower. And they were educated, they were literate, and we have a strong tradition in New England of literacy. It's unusual if we encounter somebody who can't read. I'm sure most of us at one time or another have met an adult who was illiterate, but it's unusual. And musical literacy has also been very common in New England. In the mid-19th century, there was a fiddler from Lyndonville who was writing down tunes from his friends, and he got the idea of a fiddler's tune book and took it to a publisher in Boston, and it came out to what was it was called 1,001 Fiddle Tunes, and I never counted them, but I think that's probably pretty close. And it was a very popular book, and people still use it today. And they're playing versions of the tunes as they were played long ago, because when you have literacy, whether it's print or musical literacy, it stabilizes things. They don't change in people's memories. And if somebody, it's like as if you were to memorize a poem out of a book, and it might change a little in your memory, but then you'd go back to the book and say, oh yeah, I have this line wrong, Well, it's the same way with music. Now, on the other hand, you folks probably didn't come here to hear me talk about this sort of thing, but you came because you wanted to hear some fiddle tunes. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to play some of the different kinds of tunes that you would hear a typical New England fiddler play. If you go to a fiddle contest, for example, in the Cracker Barrel Festival in Newbury, the last Friday in July, you would hear the traditional 3 tunes that are they expect a fiddler to play, which is, first of all, a waltz, and secondly, a jig. Sometimes a strathspey is allowed there, and I'll explain what the strathspey is later. And then what they call a hoedown, but nobody really seems to know what that means, except that that everybody plays a reel when they say hoedown. Mm-hmm. So they play a waltz and typically a jig and a reel. So we'll start off with a waltz. This is a waltz. When I first played it for Becky's father, he said he hadn't heard it since his uncle had died. So this is an old traditional New England waltz. Okay. people always ask is, what's the difference between a fiddle and a violin? And of course, the answer, there are a lot of joke answers, but the real answer is there isn't any difference. It's the same instrument, just played differently. This is real horsehair from a horse's tail in the bow, and this is rosin from some sort of a pine tree or a spruce tree or something that's been boiled down, and that makes the hair sticky, so it grabs onto the string and makes the sound. And I wasn't getting quite the response I wanted, so I thought I'd put a little more on. Okay. It's very helpful to have somebody hold the violin while you do that, because otherwise you got to prop it against your knee or something. It's kind of precarious. Okay. I measure this instrument here was made in Aberdeen in 1883, and my great-grandfather bought it from a man who made it just before he sailed for New Brunswick. And so there's a tradition in my family of playing the British tunes, particularly the Scottish ones. I'll play a jig now. This is a Scottish jig called Come Under My Plaidie, and it does have that B minor we spoke of chord in it. And when my mother used to always sort of have a little giggle about this tune, because the plaidie in Scotland was the big long length of tartan that you would wrap around yourself kind of like a blanket. So the invitation, come under my plaidie, has a touch of giggle to relation of numbers to rhythm in music. That came to me kind of late, actually. It was when Becky started playing with me. She started teaching it to me because, for example, I knew a waltz was in 3/4 time, but I had no idea as to 3/4 of what. And the jig, like I just played, you can tell it's a jig because it's in 6/8 time, which means it goes 1 2 3, 1 2 3, 1 2 3. Oh, excuse me. 1 2 3 4 5 6. She does more than just accompany.
I like to correct him from time to time.
Okay, so that's a jig. Now, you may have heard of a kind of tune called the hornpipe. And the hornpipes used to be enormously popular in the early days of Chautauqua and vaudeville and things like that. There were guys who were famous hornpipe dancers, and they do exhibition hornpipe dancing. And that has sort of vanished from our culture, but people still play hornpipes. And the interesting thing is that sometimes they play them as if they're hornpipes, which means they have a sort of a lilting kind of rhythm, a da 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 da. Can you say that in mathematics?
1, 2.
There we go, 1, 2. And whereas the reel has a steady rhythm, da 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 da.
Meander to meander. What are you doing?
Okay, so we'll start with a snap violin. Okay.
What do you win?
We're going to play. We'll play it through once as a hornpipe and once as a reel. You'll hear the difference in the rhythm. I'll do one more like that. This is called Lamplighter's Hornpipe. I don't know if it's true. They say, I was told by one lady who's an expert on the bagpipes that in certain parts of the old country they would, when the lamplighter came around to light the gas lamps, he would be accompanied by a bagpiper. And I don't know if they did that, but this is called the Lamplighter's Hornpipe or Lamplighter's Reel, depending on what rhythm you're playing it in. There's a river in northeast Scotland that's sort of east of Aberdeen called the Spey, S-P-E-Y. And the Gaelic word for valley is strath. And we have tunes called strathspeys, which means it's a reel played as they play them in the valley of the Spey River. There's where they started. And these became tremendously popular. There was a fellow who would toured all over North America in the 19th century, and he was called the Strathspey King. He was so famous for playing these. Captain Campbell. Now, this one is it's in A minor. For those of you who are interested in musical theory but don't know anything about it, I'll tell you what makes it a minor. Is you have a scale, you know, and if you take the third note and flat it, you get a minor. That's a minor sound, a major sound. You can hear the difference, right? I hope. Once in a while, I say something like that, and people look at me blankly and say no, and then I don't know where to go the rest of the evening. Okay. What else am I going to play? Huh? Oh, yeah. I'll try it. Okay, the next tune is what's called a schottisch, which is a tune that's used for a particular kind of dance. And her father we play with him quite often. He's a very good mandolin player, and he remembered his uncle playing this tune recently, and it's a lovely little schottisch, and I've tried to learn it. Unfortunately, I learned it on the mandolin. I haven't really learned it on the fiddle, but let's see what happens, shall we? Okay, so this is a schottisch. Her father's name is Lawrence, and we don't know what else to call it, so I've been thinking of it in my mind as Lawrence's schottisch. So that's as good a name as any, I guess. Oh, yes. The other popular type of tune, of course, is the polka. And a lot of these old fiddle tunes have kind of odd names, you know. And this polka is called the Old Crooked Stovepipe. Huh? Yeah, you've played it a lot. It's in G. You like it?
You
It's
like
one of your favorites. And I remember there was this fiddler came to the house one time, and he brought his mother, who was this quite old lady, and he said he was going to play this tune. The Little Burnt Potato Jig. He was going to play. That was the theme song of a fiddler named Don Messer, who used to be on the radio. Some of you older people might remember Don Messer and his Prince Edward Islanders. And there was a show that they probably had illegal strength radio coming out of Prince Edward Island. You could hear it all over New England. And anyway, so somebody asked this old lady, said, well, how do these fiddle tunes get these strange names? She says, oh, it's easy enough, like somebody just burned a little potato or something, So, I don't know how this one got to be called Old Crooked Stovepipe, but gee, you remember.
Yeah, I like that.
At this point, I usually see if anybody has a question or a request. Yes.
So, Lorena was a really popular Civil War
Yeah.
song. Was that originated in the New England area, or was that a southern? And can you play it?
I can play it, and it was sung with great fervor and longing on both sides of the Civil War. No, I don't know the words. I've heard the word, but I never learned. Let's see, what key we do that in? Let's try it in G. You've never heard it? Well, that's all right. You'll pick it up. No, wait a minute. No, I got it. C, you got the chord, let's do it again. E minor. after that Ken Burns special came out, for quite a while there, people would come up to me and say, "Can you play the Civil War?" And it took me a while to realize what they were talking about, because I don't have TV and I'd never seen the show. You know? What they were talking about was a tune called "The Shokin Farewell,"
That's right, yeah.
which we could play for you if you're interested in that. So
Yeah.
Civil
Yes,
War sort of thing.
Beautiful.
I have a silly question, but why is a hornpipe called a hornpipe? I'm just trying to figure out, was there a pipe involved? Maybe it was made of horn? I'm not getting the visual here.
Yeah, actually, there were pipes made of horn, and that may be where they first started playing hornpipes, was on horn pipes. The huh?
That brings it to point out the dance. It's the fact that it's a dance.
Yeah. What's the point about a dance? You lost me.
I lost you?
Yeah.
A waltz is a waltz because it's a dance.
Yeah.
A jig is a jig because it's a dance.
Yeah, and a hornpipe, the tune is called a hornpipe because of
Of the
the
dance.
dance that goes with it, yeah.
Mm.
Actually, I read it a while ago about the discovery of no, it wasn't horn, it was bone. It was made from a leg bone of a deer, a flute that they found, that they dated something like 35,000 BC. A very, very ancient thing, and they made a exact replica of it, and so people could try playing it, and it's it's very accurate intonation and perfectly pitched, and was clearly the result of a considerable tradition in making these instruments. So bone pipes and probably hornpipes go way back. I've seen long cow horns that had a mouthpiece and holes drilled so you could change the pitch and play a scale on them. So something like that. Somebody else have a question? Yes.
What do you know about those? I think it's a fiddle tune called Devil's Dream. And I don't know where that falls in the jig.
Okay, that's a reel, and That's a real popular tune. I don't know why it's called Devil's Dream. I knew one old timer who could sing words to it. 40 days and 40 nights the devil was a dreamin', round the ark, old Noah's ark, the water it came streaming, or something like that. I can't remember much of it. Okay, let's play that. She doesn't like it. You can tell when she makes faces. Or subtle.
Over the years, you've mastered thousands of these songs. Why don't you play what you consider your favorite?
Whoa. That's sort of hard. I don't really know thousands. I know hundreds. Not thousands. Let's see. You remember the wedding one? Yeah. Okay. All right, this is a hornpipe I wrote. I've written that a few times. And if I didn't like it, I wouldn't have written it, would I?
With the bobbin mill players?
Oh, yeah.
He's an original Bobbin Miller.
Oh, yes, yes.
Yeah.
Well, my friend Evelyn Wagner would play
Oh, yeah.
the harmonica.
Oh, I've played with her many times.
Yeah. The Tennessee Waltz, I think that was her favorite.
Yeah.
Isn't that where we met?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I met her father and her at the Westfield get-together about 12, 15 years ago. You want to do Tennessee Waltz? In G or is it D? D.
Lots of room.
Isn't there an old Kentucky waltz also?
Kentucky Waltz. Kentucky Waltz. That was written by Phil Monroe, wasn't it? Okay. Somebody else have a thought here?
Silver thread among the gold.
Oh my, let's see. My father goes something like that. Gee. played that in 40 years.
Around the turn of the century, many traditional tunes were, new lyrics were written for union organizing. Are you familiar with any of those tunes?
Not really.
You're talking the Woody Guthrie era?
Actually,
tunes?
quite before him.
No,
Joe Hill.
that's not material I'm familiar with. Sorry, yeah.
Along with the waltz, jig, and reel, you mentioned something else, and you told us you would tell us about it later.
That was the
Something-
Strathspey I did.
Ah, okay. I didn't catch what it was. Okay.
Yeah, okay.
An old Irish jig.
Irish jig. Okay, let's do Tobin's. It's D and A all the way through. Okay. Anybody have any other questions or thoughts for us tonight? Yes.
How about some of the Scottish ones, like Loch Lomond or Bonnie Bray?
Black Ball, we can do that. Yeah? D. You're gonna sing it. Yeah. This is my mother's favorite song, so I remember it quite well. Bonny banks and by bonny braes, where the sun shines bright on Loch Lomond, for me and my true love never meet again. By the bonny banks of Loch Lomond, oh, you'll take the high road, I'll take the low road. I'll be in Scotland a-whoring, for me and my true love will never meet again. By the bonny, bonny banks of Loch Lomond. Oh, I mind where we parted in yon shady glen, on the steep, steep side of Ben Lomond, where in deep purple hue the Highland hills we view, and the moon coming out of the gloam. Ah, you'll take the high road, I'll take the low road. I'll be in Scotland a-whoring, for me and my true love will never meet again. By the bonny, bonny banks of Loch Lomond. Oh, the wee birdies sing, the wildflowers spring, and in sunshine the waters are sleeping in spring again, and the world does not ken how we are greeting. Oh, you'll take the high road, I'll take the low road. I'll be in Scotland a-whoring, or me and my true love will never meet again. I love honey, honey, banks of the Cloven. Of course, it was often kind of mysterious for people. The high road was a regular road that people took, and the low road was a road by which the soul of a Scottish warrior would return to his homeland by the low road. Yes.
We're on to the,
No, we got something right here.
we're on to the sadder songs, and Danny Boy. Next to mine, yeah.
You can play it. Well, you can learn it. She's a quick study. Yeah, I don't know the words. Well, I do know some words, but they're ones by Thomas More. I don't know the Danny Boy words. I know the Apple Blossom words. But let's play that. G. She remembered how to play it, but she never played it before, but she remembered how anyway. A trick memory. Okay, anybody
How
else?
about green sleeves?
Okay. A minor.
How about a song written in Vermont in the past 100 years? I mean, I know there's tons of fiddle songs that.
A song?
I mean, maybe that has some historical prominence.
How about a good Revolutionary War song?
Revolutionary War song, my goodness.
How about a march? That's the one thing that we haven't done tonight is a march.
Oh,
Oh, yeah, Revolutionary Logan Water.
yeah, all right.
This is a fife tune. A lot of the New England fiddle tunes are also fife tunes. It's called Logan Water.
characterize New England family by the stability, the literacy, and the wealth.
Yeah.
How would you characterize either the Appalachian region or the southern region in terms of that kind of description? What defines them?
Well,
perhaps?
for one thing, much more, and we have almost no influence from the black tradition. The African tradition is very strong in the South. And this has led to interest in kind of syncopated rhythms. And if you syncopate the rhythm enough, you have to kind of simplify the tune. One Southern musician remarked to me one time that New England tunes seemed to him to be unnecessarily complex melodically and childishly simple rhythmically. And I said, hey, that's really interesting, because now that you mention it, your tunes seem to me to be childishly simple melodically and unnecessarily complex rhythmically. Okay, well, let's take a simple, well-known fiddle tune called Soldier's Joy. And I really can't play Southern style at all, but I'll try to do a little bit. The way we play it is the way, it's pretty much the same way I saw a facsimile of George Bush's Book of Fiddle Tunes. This is Captain George Bush from the Continental Army, who was a fiddler in George Washington's army, and a friend with a fifer, and he wrote down a lot of his favorite tunes. And one of them was this one called Soldier's Joy, D. And I'm going to play it kind of slowly so you can get the difference in the way the tune is changed when it's played in the South. This is the old original Northern way. They simplify the melody and add rhythm. I can't play a really rhythmic Southern style fiddle, but I'll try to approximate it. The other thing is that the popularity of the five-string banjo in the South kind of wiped out a lot of stuff like jigs, because unless you're a highly skilled banjo player, it's really hard to play 6/8 rhythm or 3/4. It's hard to play waltzes and jigs on banjo. You had a question over there.
How about French-Canadian influence?
Yeah, I can't really play French-Canadian style. I know French-Canadian tunes. The French-Canadian style, again, is more rhythmic and often accompanied by the fiddler clog dancing Wiley fiddles, which I can't do either. I can't clog dance when I'm not fiddling. I'll play, let's do St. Anne's Reel. And I'll try to, this is a very popular French-Canadian tune on both sides of the border. I'll play it first more or less the way I've heard French-Canadian players play it. And then I'll play it the more Yankee way, okay? fiddler or a real Southern fiddler would be sort of amazed in the way that Frenchmen are often amazed. The Frenchmen in France are often amazed at when Americans try to talk French. The same problem. Anybody else? It's getting kind of late. We have a long haul, so if anybody else have anything, or shall we say goodnight there?
Encore. You pick it. You pick it.
Okay, good idea. Yeah, this one's an old Vermont tune called Maple Sugar Time. Complimented, so I say something like, of all the audiences I've ever played with, you're by far the most recent. But tonight, I really sincerely say you've been a great audience. It's been a lot of fun playing for you.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much.